Applications for the volunteer docent program at the Mesker Park Zoo close soon. Our Leslie Chapman went to the zoo today to learn more about the opportunity.
You might be wondering what a docent is and why you should apply. Zoo officials say docents are a valuable part of the Mesker Park Zoo experience.
Docents are adult volunteers here at the zoo. They can be retired, they can be in college. As long as they're over the age of 18, you can be a docent.
Docents serve as volunteer educators who interact with guests and provide educational information during visits.
They help us with daily programming throughout the zoo, like animal interpretation stations. They help us with special events, with animal encounters.
Zoo officials say no experience is necessary to become a docent, but applicants must be willing to complete the training program.
They go through some pretty rigorous training with our education team. In order to hit different levels in the docent program, you have to obtain so many volunteer hours and attend so many trainings.
The time commitment is up to you, but with additional training.
We have an entire set of ambassador collection animals that are used for our ambassador program, and our docents, once you hit that certain level of training, you can be cleared for different animals for those interactions.
Zoo officials say docents are particularly important during the busier seasons, like the spring and summer.
We only have about 20 zookeepers here, so it's hard for them to be available throughout the day to answer a bunch of questions and be in one area. And so that's where our docents come in, and they really bridge the gap between the zoo and education and help you learn.
Again, docent applications are due on Sunday, and you can find a link to submit that application on 14news.com. Now, if you're interested in volunteering at Mesker Park Zoo but don't want to be a docent, zoo officials say they have other volunteer opportunities throughout the year.